I think I was thinking about this intro song this morning in the shower, naked. I was like, I really like this song, It's I wanted the thing is one day I am gonna change it, maybe like 200 episodes from now. But I'm like, for now, I'm gonna keep it like this because I like this. I like that build up, It makes it feel like, at least for me, it makes it feel like we're really about to tap into something real, something deep, I think there will be a day. I don't wanna hire someone to make a new song for me. I wanna make it myself, I really wanna get in the booth and update that when the time is right. That time isn't now, that time is some time away, but I was just thinking about that intro, like, that intro music. It always gets me, like, ready to go, ready to get going, to talk about the stuff. So, thank you for joining us here today. This is the Young Talk Podcast hosted by the one and only Father B. Last episode, these past few episodes, we've been covering a lot of different topics. So if you find any of those topics that resonate with you and you've noticed you haven't hit the button, please go ahead, hit that button, leave a like. You don't have to leave a comment, but let me know that you were there in some way, shape, or form. That way we can continue this conversation and we can continue to engage each other in a healthy way. That's what I want for this channel to be. It's going to get weird today, but it's also going to get very serious. It is going to get very heavy. A lot of these topics, if I didn't put an advisory warning, I will put one here right now verbally. There is an advisory warning because we're going to be talking about mental health. And I do want to put an advisory warning to anyone who does hear this who may be struggling with their mental health in some way. Please know that if you are needing help, if you feel like you need to talk to someone, if you feel like you need some level of grounding or something to help you pull out of any dark place that you're in, I'm going to make sure I do put up some type of, I don't know, suicide hotline or mental health thing. I don't know. I feel like that will be important for this episode just because of the things we're going to talk about. We get very silly on this podcast, and we have for a lot of the previous episodes. But I do want to acknowledge that we are going to be talking about some pretty important things, especially these days. And I know that with our generation, whether it's depression, anxiety, or something, and if you don't have anyone to talk to, I hope that this can be a platform for you to feel like you can have those conversations and those discussions, or you can at least have someone in the room willing to discuss these things. So, with that being said, I got you, and let's get into the episode. This episode, we are going to be we're gonna get weird as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. For like a good chunk of time, is just not gonna make sense. I promised that we were gonna watch that we were gonna talk about Whippets. I did my whip search, my research. I did my Whippet research. All right. I got videos. We're watching videos this time. We got clips. And Whippets to me, it's weird. It is weird. I don't even remember why I decided to look up Whippets, right? But I'm glad I did. Drugs are not necessarily great, right? Sometimes I think a lot about drug use and like if it's the heavier drugs are something I don't think I'll ever like risk myself because I feel like it is so easy to abuse, not just necessarily a drug, but like just to abuse something that you enjoy doing, I feel like drugs allow you to go be outside of yourself so much that that's like an easy way to abuse it, right? So I'm always cautious of that. I'm like, if I like to smoke weed, right? I do need to be careful of that to where it's not me being like, hey, I'm willing to try cocaine, I'm willing to try heroin or whatever, like we can make jokes about doing that or wanting to do that or whatever, but like being conscious of yourself and being like, hey man, make sure you are having these other avenues of taking care of yourself, because it really can dip into something like that without you even realizing it. So whippets, I I don't know. I don't even know if this is like a too late of a conversation. I don't think so. Because whippets seem to be very like pointless almost. It seems like it is such a very small reward for so much damage, not just to the body, but like like literally to the brain, Like it dissolves your brain. If you don't know what whippets are, it is essentially this like little it's nitrous oxide essentially, right? And it's used and it's used in medicinal practices. It's used for laughing gas. I forgot what else was the. It's used for whipped cream. It makes the whipped cream like foam up and things like that, the gas bubbles, etc. But people are taking like hits of whippets, the gas itself, like inhaling, the gas or the cartridges, and it gives you this dopamine or this interesting feeling for like about somewhere between 10 seconds to like a minute or something. And it's very short, but the damage is so damning on the brain because it starts melting and destroying neurons like immediately. It starts making like there are so many risks and side effects that can immediately happen within taking just one hit, right? Like you can risk your lungs fucking exploding. You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a high risk. And I'm like, why would anyone do this for a 10-second feeling? Like I said, I smoke, right? So it's like when you smoke, right? You take a hit. Let's say you only take one hit, right? And you're stoned for like, I don't know, at least more than 10 seconds. Hopefully, right? Because I'm like, I would go fucking crazy. Like that's such an addictive thing then, where it's like you only get 10 seconds of this thing, but you get like you get such irreparable damage to your body. And since it's only 10 seconds, you keep taking more hits. And these people who become addicted to whippets and shit like that, the ones who end up like recovering from it, they always have these stories about how dangerous it is, and because they didn't even realize it at the time. But it's like it literally just it turns off your brain. There's a lot of scientific shit that goes in it because of the amount of like nitrous oxide your brain is taking in and the lack of oxygen that your body is getting in that moment, which is why it leads to all these things. Like there are people who would take a hit and then they can't get their breath back, or they can't stop laughing or whatever. Like it gets bad real quick. There are chances of that. And I'm like, well, why risk that? Like I'm cool with smoking because I know that could destroy neurons and brain cells or whatever, but it ain't nearly as bad as this. So I was blown away. But let's take a look at some clips but before I have this one. I have this clip here. I want to take a look at this one because this has nothing to do with whippets. This is just some random girl taking 30, they call them blinkers, fucking zoomers, I don't know. She has 30 vape pens and she's about to take a full hit. Now, this is what I'm talking about when we talking about abuse, right? Like I grew up in places where people do all types of shit, but it's just different nowadays. People are changing the game when it comes to the drug abuse, right? Like this is fucking ridiculous, bro. 30 vape pens. One vape pen is dangerous. I got a vape pen. I barely use that shit. I very rarely use that shit. Not because I don't want to get cancer or anything from it. I just don't. It just doesn't. To me, is just a weaker decision to make in terms of if you're gonna take in nicotine, THC, do it the real way. Do it the real way. If you're gonna give yourself cancer, do it the real way. You shouldn't have to charge your cigarette. You know what I mean? Shouldn't have to charge my joint. This is stupid. This is stupid.
This is how you take 30 blinkers in public.
Fucking white girls, but man, I'm telling you, this is one of the few times where I'm like, yeah, this is some white girl shit. Like, ain't no way, dude. This woman is bagging her groceries, trying to good about her day. There's an old man right here, dog.
Probably.
Sure, Steve.
Workers, hold it. Damn, 30 blinkers?
30, damn, 30 blinkers? This is so stupid. I have not seen past this point either. So here we go. We're about to go. We talked about this last episode. We're about to step into a new place. I ain't seen this video past this point. I was like, no, we're gonna pause it here because I want to be able to see what's gonna happen. I want to see what's gonna happen. I don't. I hope. I wonder if she's gonna explode or collapse or something. Oh, good luck. Just good luck. So let's check it out. Let's see what happens.
A whole lot of blinkers, man.
She's taking a hit. No one's stopping her.
Look
I
at the
think that's
workers.
what's crazy. No one has walked up to her and said, "Hey, nope, you can't. We're not allowing. We're not doing that in here." Like, how do you walk? This is privilege, bro. And probably not, because dude on the end on the camera sound black. So it's not like they looked at this white girl and was like, oh, we're gonna let her happen because she's with a black man. So it's like They let anybody do this shit. Why? Like, bro, this is a place of business. Get the fuck out. What are you walking in here with a blue styrofoam with holes in it, and in each hole is a vape pen? Get the fuck out. What are you? Go find your dad. Go find your mom. Go find your parents. Go find your family. Go do something. Go do anything. You got too many problems to be here hitting 30 vape pens. You got a problem for each and every one of those pens, I bet. You're just gonna suck them all up, try and hold on to them, and then when it gets to be too much, you're just gonna let it out, right? Fucking waste of time, waste of money, waste of mental, waste of everything.
Oh shit.
And that looks no different than when if you would have just hit one of those. That's what's crazy. You know? Like it's not like you filled the store with vape, right? It's not like anything significant happened by hitting 30 of those at once. The only thing that really happened here is that you've destroyed your brain 30 times faster for the same amount of vapor to come out.
Cloudy as
Like,
hell. Say you 30 blinkers.
We out of here.
We out of here.
and then just walk
Oh
out.
shit.
And then just walk out. Didn't buy anything, didn't have any point of existing. Just we're gonna do this in a public space. Why? Why? Now they gotta smell your dirty ass vapor smoke. Hope she brushed her teeth before. Because now it's like that whole spot's just gonna smell terrible. Like, get out of here, bro. Get out of here. What are you like? This is a waste. This
Shit,
shit is
30
stupid.
blinkers.
30 blinkers?
Yo, what's up, guys? This is
No.
how you take 30 blinkers in public.
In public. I hate this type of content so fucking much, dude. It pisses me off so much. You know, like you could be doing so much more, bro. I'm not even knocking that you're doing vape, but it's like it's just a waste. It's just a waste.
All right, welcome to Walmart.
There you go. Welcome to Walmart. He did it. He did it. One more time, just in case you missed it, it was real quick. This must have been during COVID 4 years ago. That's even more crazy. My man, the thing that actually pisses me off even more, like, bro, you're in the toy section for children. What the fuck are you doing? You're doing inappropriate shit in the section in which a child could just randomly appear. You don't have a kid. You're not a kid. You're a grown ass man in a mask looking sketchy, inhaling gas in a Walmart next to the toys. So then when cops come in and they're like, hey, yo, we're going to arrest you, then what? It's going to be brutality, right? Because, bro, what the fuck? Why did you decide to do this? You could have, and this is the problem with Whippets, right? Like it just destroys your brain to where you never connect these dots. All you do is you just do the Whippet, right? For a 10-second feeling of nothing. You don't even feel anything. Like when people describe taking Whippets, right? Their thing is like, it just is womp, 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 womp. Like it's nothing. Some people like there are videos of people when they say they'll take Whippets or whatever, and it's like they're like sometimes, you know, everything just goes black or they can't see or whatever. I'm like, these are the craziest things to want out of life. It's the one thing to just want to get high and have that feeling of being out of your body or floating or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? All for that, right? All for that. But it's like when it's only a 10-second thing and 90% of the time is just incoherent womps that you can pull up on YouTube, you know, or you not being able to see. So you're saying you want to be a blind person? You want to be disabled? Go talk to a blind person. I can tell you that's not fun. I bet you a blind person is gonna do whippets hoping that they can see. It'll be the reverse effect, you know? Like
Stop it. Get some help.
this shit is crazy. This is why I don't go to Walmart, bro. This is why I go out of my way not to go to Walmart. Like this is whippets, right? This is what whippets are in recent times. The consumption of whippets have gone down. People are not taking it as much because of, you know, these effects that it has on you to just essentially destroy you from the inside out irreparably. mind you. Right? So people are using it less, people are taking it less. But when it was popping off, such as in these past few years or so, I thought it was fascinating that Adam 22 did a whole video talking about Whippets. And this is pretty much what led to me wanting to kind of dive into Whippets because I was like, oh, I like that. I didn't know he made a video and I like the video. It kind of does give a full understanding of what the Whippet craze was or what the Whippet epidemic is what he's calling it, and how people are engaging with it, how they interpret their usage of it. And honestly, I think it's interesting. I think it's a little haunting, but I do think it's fascinating. And I kind of want to share it here. I don't think anybody that's listening to this podcast has ever done Whippets. That's what I think is safe to say. But, I never know. You never know who this reaches. Don't do Whippets. Don't do nitrous oxide, bro. You're supposed to take in oxygen. That's as simple as it gets. Don't take nitrous oxide unless you're at the doctor's. Simple as that. Don't take nitrous oxide unless it's in whipped cream. Simple as that. Don't suck helium. That's it. These are simple things. So you don't die. So your lungs don't explode. So you can't have the inability to catch your breath. So you don't randomly have a stroke. That 10-second feeling is everything to them. How do you get there? What led them to get in there? And I mean, how can you help them get to a better place to where that feeling doesn't need to come from something that can kill them, and it doesn't need to only be like a 10-second thing. It can be, a lifetime. So I'm like, some of these people in this video, I think it's towards the end. Yeah, I got timestamps. It's towards the end where this girl, she's talking about doing whippets and shit, and it was, I have the timestamp. We'll look at it, but there's like a moment where it's like, it's a true disconnect in her brain, and it's scary. It's so fucking scary. I'm like, I don't know what I would do if I had families. Like, luckily, I don't think anybody in my family has gone through something like this, but they do go through other things. And shit, it's it's a weird reality through this. So let's take a look.
And I'm talking about Whippets.
You may have heard of Whippets, a drug abused sometimes using balloons and whipped cream containers. But now some people say the gas is far easier to get, and one doctor believes that access could be causing a crisis.
I mean, when it's easily accessible, of course it's gonna be a problem. Like, this is the shit they put in like laughing gas and whatnot, and this is the shit you put in whipped cream. So it's like if people suddenly got addicted, this is gonna be crazy, but like to ink pen fluid, they found a way to get high off of ink pens, and so imagine that epidemic where it's like shit. Now you got people just getting high off of ink pens. Well, guess what? How easy is it to get a regular ass ballpoint ink pen? That you don't think about like some of the dangerous things of some of this stuff or like how accessible it is, but like what are the odds of someone taking this and using it to get high? Very low, because why would the average person do that? And it's not until they figure out that they can that it becomes a major problem. So that now I bet you it's a lot harder to get this type of stuff just because now they know. So it's like, shit, well, we can't put nitrous oxide in whipped cream because, it's a whole glue situation. But that's the gist of nitrous oxide is that, just like how people are filling it up in these balloons, they be in clubs and shit like that with these balloons taking nitrous oxide and the effects can just range. There is so much in this video. I do recommend checking out the whole thing.
I started sometime last year where it was just like once a weekend I would do like one tank. And then,
Now, like, just let's listen to the progression here. She was like, maybe start out once a weekend. Maybe she'd do like one tank. Now, mind you how big these tanks are. The ones we saw up until this point were like these little handheld ones. That's not what we're talking about. Nah, I'm pretty sure she's talking about ones that are at least a little bit bigger than that. I'm gesturing like my camera's on, it's not on. But like it's a lot bigger than that. And what you'll notice is how fast the progression goes from just doing one tank maybe every day or a couple days to like hours. And the amount of money, bruh.
I was like, well, this is fun. I don't like vaping. I don't like smoking. I don't like doing any of that. So, I mean, this kind of makes me feel like good, I guess. And I was doing one tank a day.
A tank sounds like a ton. How big is a tank?
So they actually upgraded the tanks now. You can get a bag. You can get a bag with your tank. And it comes with a handle.
Have you seen The Walking Dead, bro? Where fucking I don't even know what season it is anymore, but with the governor, and he's like season 4, season 5, season 4, whatever, season 4. He's like post the war on the prison, and he's all bearded up and shit, and he meets the woman and the kid, and he goes and retrieves the oxygen tanks for the old dude. That's what I imagine every time. Like those big ass tanks is what they're carrying around because they might as well be.
And like this tall, I would do one of those in 3 hours, less than 3 hours.
I'll see people with those at parties, and it seems like that's for like the whole party.
No, and I would not share. And then I started doing 3 tanks a day, and then that came to 6 to 10 tanks.
What the? And how much
6
is
to
each
10,
tank?
bro. She went from 1 to somewhere between 6 and 10. You up the dosage by over 7 times, between 7 to 10 times as much. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? It's one thing if you go from smoking from like maybe once a day to like maybe once every day or maybe twice a day or whatever. You don't go from just smoking once to like smoking 10 times a day. You know what I mean? That's a major jump. That would be a major concern. Right? Anybody that does that in any substance, oh, they got a problem. Right? Because that's an addiction. Most people don't do like it's unfathomable. And I'm like, that's the type of shit that scares me about nicotine, where it's like I can't imagine a world where I don't smoke cigarettes, right? Right now I don't smoke cigarettes. So I don't really have a taste for nicotine in any capacity. And sometimes I'm like, damn, I imagine that. Like, what if you take one cigarette for the first time and it's like, that's it. You always gotta buy a pack of cigarettes or something. I don't know what that feeling is like to have the need of nicotine or that desire of nicotine, or have to struggle with that. And I'm like, I never want to have that feeling. I never want to have that desire for something like that. Like,
First time I tried nitrous, I was probably like 12 years old. I just remember like
he definitely sound like he's done. I feel like he's the guy. He's the kid I would have met in like middle school that would be like, oh man, this dude's so cool. He's probably got the Xbox. His mom be baking cookies and shit. Like he has that voice where he sounds like he had a pretty chill child or a pretty cool childhood where he's doing some shit. I feel like when you are 47, I'm just guessing this man's age. I feel like when you're 47 and you're still wearing a backwards hat and a graphic tee, you had to have had a skateboard or something in your childhood. You know what I mean? One around
at
in the
that
40s.
time in the early 90s, that was part of the party pack. You couldn't go anywhere in LA. Every single party had
He
Nas tanks.
tattoos everywhere.
$1 balloons if you cool, $2 if we don't know you. The tank is a part of the party pack. Forced to go into baking supply stores and run through the whipped cream aisle and get a can. I'm not trying to give you all ideas, but we hitting you just touch the ready whip real lightly, so just the nitrous part come out, and you suck on that pause, and then we was doing that. We leaving pause the supermarket with faces full of cream damn near because we nozzing out, fool. Everyone
That's what's crazy.
Done Nas will say the same thing. What Nas does to you is wom, 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 wom. That's literally it. It's almost like being in a K-hole. My worst Nas experience, I fished one time, which means I passed out. I was at this party on the west side, and I hit a balloon, and the next thing I remember, all I saw was black. It was pitch black, and then just a light, and the light was just like moving, spinning closer and closer, and I was like, oh, I'm like having conscious thoughts. Like, I'm here, I know where I'm at, and I'm stuck here, and I need to get out of this realm wherever I'm at. Next thing I remember, like, I'm coming to, and my homie's like, hey, you at a party, you just fished on a Nas balloon. I caught your head 3 inches above the concrete. You were about.
Bruh. What? That is such a gamble. There was only one time where I've ever smoked something that really fucked me up to where I was nearly concerned that something bad was going to happen to me because of what I just took, but I was fine. Like, it was a weird experience, but even then that was enough for me to be like, you know what, let me, I got to fix whatever led to this moment, because this is very different than what I'm normally doing type shit. Fuck that. I don't like that extreme feeling. I don't need to get to that extreme of it, right? Like, I'm not trying to get there, bro. I'm just trying to de-stress my mind for a second. I'm not trying to feel like a fucking llama or a camel or some outer you know what I mean? Like, that shit is for a different time. And if you got to feel that all the time when you are substance using or whatever, then I'm like, hey, I think I'm no professional, but I think you may need to step outside of that substance, because that shit's crazy. That's an intense thing. Let's balance it, right? So I think that's scary. Like if you taking something that that really can just risk just because you are so out of control of yourself in that moment. And he had good friends with him though. At least like someone caught him, right? Like they were like, bro, we caught you. You passed out, but we at least we were able to make sure like nothing bad happened to you. And meanwhile, he's hearing womp, 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 and just passed out. And all he knows is that he is conscious or he has a brain, he has thoughts, and that he's just, like that's scary. That is not what I want. We're almost done with this topic though. Another timestamp. This woman is on the floor.
Like, one tank like for a week and a half or so, and I was blowing that shit like more than a tank a fucking week. Like talking about like 4 tanks.
The ringing is what it hits. If you hear the ringing, you're knocked out, and that's just the best. Don't be getting scared now.
That's what's crazy. Like you got to be so disconnected from anything interesting to where this to just ringing in your ear is interesting. That's crazy to me. I'm like, what? You could you could literally just pull up a video of like the decibels that you want to reach. And you could just listen to that if that's really all you want. So I'm like, that's bullshit. There's something that you are just shutting off that you don't want to feel, because that's why we all do whatever substance we do is because we are trying to shut something off and turn something else back on or whatever the fuck, and if all it is a ringing in your ear, you're lying to me. You're lying to me because there ain't no way you risk your lungs exploding for a ringing in your ear. And I think the thing that makes me frustrated too is like the amount of $400 is crazy to go through like $400 a week. And that seems like that's the average is like 400 a week or 400 of whatever. That's so much money over a course of time that you could have just put into other shit. And I'm looking at it like, are these people who just never had those people in their lives where they feel like they're not good enough to do something more, right? And I'm like, what are you? Because 400, how are you have 400 extra to just hear a ringing for 10 seconds? You know what I mean? That's crazy work. That's crazy work, bro. Like that. This doesn't seem worth it. Like you can't expect. When I was 19, 18, the thing that got me into vaping and smoking or whatever was I was like, I don't want to smoke cigarettes or anything like that, but I do want to look cool. Hold something between my fingers and whatever, take a puff of smoke, whatever, right? Like that was a part of that. And then I got it and I was like, yeah, no, yeah, you could feel pretty cool, whatever, whatever, but you can't look cool doing this. You can't look cool sucking on a balloon. There, so to me, it's like the appeal just visually isn't there because you're like like they gotta blur this out. You're squeezing on it. And at least with something, a joint, a cigarette, something you could at least set your hand down. Relax your wrist, let the dip it in the eye, do something cool, do something classy. With this, you fucking rummaging with plastic and rubber, and it's all squeezing and farting and shit. Like, who sees that and is like, damn, I kind of want to know what that's like. You know what I mean? This shit is goofy as fuck, but whatever, man.
Oh shit! Like it just makes me feel like.
Oh, right. So, okay, I'm sorry. This is the moment. This is the moment where she gets that moment of clarity. But it's like you actually see her brain decide not to connect to it. It's so unsettling.
And like that kind of sucks though, cause when you're like always hitting the balloon, they don't hit the same as when you first hit it.
Right.
So I'm like, damn, like I just want to feel that feeling again, but.
Bruh, it's scary as fuck. She says she just want to feel that feeling again. And it takes her about like 3 seconds, 3, 4, 5, probably about the same amount of time it takes to be stoned on for Nas to take another hit. Cause she's realizing like, you ain't gonna get that feeling that you had when you took those first few balloons or whatever. I mean, and what she's touching on is dopamine, right? And anybody that looks at like how dopamine works is that the more the more you deplete it, the longer it's going to take for it to come back, and dopamine, you can get dopamine through a lot of different things. So it very much depends on what you're getting it from, which is why you have so many things like porn addiction or social media addiction, whatever, gambling addiction, alcoholism, because a lot of these things give people dopamine. There are a lot of things that feel people that. So what happens is you end up depleting your dopamine way too fast. And then you're trying to chase that first feeling because that first time, that first experience, whatever, it's so much, right? And then you go for it again, and then you go for it again, and then you go for it again. And then your dopamine's gone and you don't realize it's gone, but you're still chasing that feeling. And so then you get to that point to where it's like, oh, it's something off. Like, why this doesn't hit as hard as it used to. And so either you could stay with what you're doing. Let's put this in the context of weed, right? You could stay taking weed let's say at a 15%. Let's say you start off at a 5% THC level and that shit hits hard. You keep doing that, right? Eventually that 5% isn't going to hit as hard as that very first time. So because your dopamine, you're so used to getting it from that it hasn't had time to build back up. So what do? You chase that feeling by going up a percentage or two. So instead of 5%, you go and look for some weed that's maybe like 10% or 15%, right? And then that just kind of escalates. And that's what we talk about. That's what people say, tolerance and shit like that increases. But what's really happening is you are just trying to match that first level of dopamine without allowing it to actually, like when she first hit that balloon, it was such a feeling. And the problem with Nas is how much it destroys those balances in your brain. And it's only a 10-second high, mind you. Like I said, it's only 10 seconds. So imagine you get this crazy feeling for only 10 seconds, right? And you got this, and it comes from this tank that's pretty long, pretty big, right? So it's like, okay, 10 seconds is nothing. I'll just take another hit. So it's like over time, you start to realize, oh, damn, you just been siphoning your dopamine even faster every 10 seconds or so because you got to you want that feeling again, you want that feeling again, you want that feeling again. By the time you get to the fifth balloon or whatever, it's much different. And she can't stop because your mind is telling you like, I might hit that feeling, but that feeling might be there again, or it might be there this time, and it might not be up to the point in which it first started. It's hard to cope with that in a lot of cases. It's hard to accept that you've damaged your dopamine in that way and you need space away from that object, but you're addicted to that object. It's scary. Because again, we're not just talking about nitrous oxide or whippets. We're talking about literally everything else that fucks with people, right? We're talking about social media. We're talking about alcoholism. We're talking about porn addiction. We're talking about gambling. We're talking about all these things that people struggle with and part of that core feeling that they're looking for. And this woman, she realizes that too. That's the thing. Is like it's hard when you aware of it and you can't come out of that because you're afraid like you may not have that feeling or you may not be able to get it back or you may whatever, like I think so many people have been there, are there, are working through it, in a lot of different spaces. So my heart goes out for people that struggle with nitrous oxide, or whippet addiction, just addiction in general, because it's like to like be stuck feeling away, is hard to get out of, and it's hard to really understand what that person is feeling. Whippets are dangerous for a lot of different reasons. I recommend looking up whippets, knowing the true dangers of it, and talking to someone if you are struggling with something, whether it's whippets or something else. Because shit, when you get to that point where you know what the problem is, or you know what you're chasing, or you know what you're going after, and you don't, and the only way you feel like you can get to it is through harming yourself. That's when you have to go and seek help. To me, it's like all you would do is see yourself as a way to, you think through harming yourself, you're healing yourself, and you're not. So anyway, let's get off this whippet video. I'm done talking about whippets for now. Oof, whippets.
Coon. You damn coon.
Let's take a look at the interview itself and see if we get anything interesting. Now, if this interview actually is a waste of time, then guess what? We call it at the end of the episode. And we just kind of conclude that Dr. Umar is done with trying. So let's take a look. This is an interview he did with Daniel Sadoh.
African diaspora and its spokesperson.
I assume this was either that same day, if not a little later. I doubt we will learn anything that's gonna change people's minds, though.
Do not seem to shy.
I also think it's really fascinating. Yeah, this is the same video. So here's the thing. I bet the deal was no one was allowing Dr. Umar to come onto their platform because of all the allegations, right? Daniel Sado's the only one that's like, we'll have you on, but you got to talk about the allegations and you got to play this game. And I feel like this video is why he's here as opposed to the interracial stuff versus him, because to me, that video literally is nothing. That video is literally nothing. It's just he's there. They could have done that video without him and he exists. So this is why he's here. Let's just see.
By the IRS. I don't know of no corporation in America that say, hey, come look at all of our paperwork, all of our financial transactions.
They said that your accounts were frozen. You created that story so that you can get more money.
To get in the bedroom what you can't get in the real world. If you doubt me,
What is going on?
you.
Nah, this seems like this is gonna be professional, concise, well-spoken, educated. This seems like this is gonna be. This is why we're here. This is why we're here. This is what we seek out on this channel. What a fucking goober.
Today, I interview the self-proclaimed Prince of Pan-African.
Stop. I ain't self-proclaimed. The people gave me that.
What? Okay, bro. I'm like, I actually might not watch this shit. He just pulled an M.R. This asshole just pulled an M.R. He said, this is what's crazy, bro. You could literally pull up any Dr. Umar video. Literally any of them. You can put on a timer for how long it takes for him to simply say, I am the king of Pan-Africanism, or the prince of Pan-Africanism. That's what he says. Prince of Pan-Africanism. He says that shit within the first 30 seconds of any video. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But you can get within the first 5 minutes, he has donned that title in every interview that he has done. The Prince of Pan-Africanism. So to come on here and be like, I didn't give myself that title. I don't proclaim that, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, you're already lying off top. Like anybody can't just pull up a clip claiming that title, donning that title. The fuck are you talking about? This is the shit that make it hard for black people to like feel like we can achieve shit, bro. Because it's like you come into these lower income places or these people who are at the bottom and like we are all always trying to like just make ends meet or whatever, or feel like or not think about the way the world works or the way the country works or whatever towards us. And then you come in trying to be this image of what black people should be and strive for and hope for. And then it's like when you fumble the bag and you show your ass, it's like you forget, you forget all these people who have been moved enough to make some level of difference, right? Like there are black people in businesses or whatever who probably listen to Dr. Umar who did, where it's like, you know what, I could do more, or black principals who are like, I can do more to make sure black children are getting educated the way that matters to them, or black professors, whoever. People who are in these spaces where they can reach the younger black people to make sure they know the importance of who they are, to immediately come off on this interview and be like, I don't don that title or whatever, literally takes away all of that work. It just takes it all away, bro. It makes us look like we don't know how to pick people to root for or some shit. It's embarrassing. White people are in every part of history at every point, in the good and the bad parts, so it don't really matter to them in my mind about who's the villain and who's the hero. Shit, they come out on top irregardless. They can vouch for whoever they want. Shit, because the person they vouch for still conquered, still won, still do this, still do that. We don't have that luxury. We only get so many people that we can put on the Black Mount Rushmore or whatever the fuck. And that shit gonna only have it's not gonna have 4, it might have 20 people, but those 20 people are significant. And when you claim for years to be among some of these great people, that means something to people. And then to walk in on an interview after all this bullshit, all these allegations, and be like, I don't don that title, I never claimed that. Someone should smack the shit out of you because you're now playing with the culture and the history and all of that shit. So take off those clothes then, dog. Take off those clothes If you ain't the Prince of Pan-Africanism, why the fuck are you dressed like it? Dress like a regular ass dude then, if that's how you feel. Cause you got people watching you, not just wanting answers, but like wanting to affirm that you aren't full of shit. And you immediately come out with shit. The fuck out of here, dog. Get the fuck out of here, man. I don't know if we're gonna watch this whole video because I'm like, there are people smarter than me watching this. You know what I mean? So if I can see that, you fucked. You fucked.
Polarizing.
You're
Don't
not
say
getting on any
polarized.
other
Stop
platform.
doing that.
Why am I?
No negative descriptions for me.
No
Umar
negative descriptions
Johnson.
for
Why
me.
don't you like self-proclaimed?
Because it's not
Crazy.
self-proclaimed. My people call me the Prince of Pan-Africanism.
Who was the first person to say it?
I don't remember.
It was definitely him. He said he was the first one.
If I'm not, who is? Of course not. I don't hate anybody.
You call them Neanderthals.
The white people have Neanderthal ancestry.
Well, they say we do too.
No, we don't.
According to science, they say that we all came from that common ancestor.
For non-African people, it has never been proven that we have evolved from a non-human species. Go ahead and fact check
You
it.
want me to fact check it? Some Neanderthal DNA has made its way into African populations.
Or probably by way of the slave master if you cohabitate.
Oh my God! You really think that white people are Neanderthals?
Why are you asking me something that is factually true?
We'll talk about school a little later, but I do want to ask a question. Can white people attend the school?
If a white parent wants to apply, they can.
So let's say the white child is sitting in FDMG. Principal Dr. Umar walks in. He's like, hello, don't be walking around with them Neanderthals.
Well, his parents should have thought about that before they put him in school.
How do you feel about being associated with the Undertaker's
Is this the
theme?
interview? I don't understand.
For Garvey Day, somebody took a clip and they put it to the Undertaker music, and I loved it. When you hear that music, the truth is coming. It's the death of all bullshit.
So you like being associated with the white Grim Reaper? How do you interact with white people?
I don't understand what this interview format is. I don't understand it because there's so many cuts and clips and moments. It's not even a full fucking question. Like, what? You're asking him questions, right? Okay. You brung up the Neanderthal thing. Okay, cool. And then you fact check him, and then you prove that he's wrong, and then he goes and copes on it, right? And I'm like, okay, now we're getting into maybe there will be some pushback, maybe there will be some, and then it's like it's all just being cut down to these moments of comedic. I don't even call it comedic timing because it's not even that funny. It's just like this is the latest content we have of Dr. Umar in terms of answers, and it doesn't feel like it's being handled seriously when real people donated money to this fool and want answers. Real people were probably hoping to get their kids into a school where they could feel like they're getting a proper education. I don't know why we're making this a lighthearted conversation. Where's the money? What's going on? Why are you denying these things that you have only been for over a decade? So far, I'm confused.
White people support Dr. Umar Johnson.
They can't genuinely support because that would undermine the white privilege. The same way I interact with anybody else. They come up to me in the airport, they inbox me, they invited me to interviews. I haven't done any white interviews though.
Would you?
Here's the reason I haven't yet is I know that this is purely entertainment because you're not going to do anything to help advance the black agenda.
Do you think systematically a white person can truly...
I like how he says that, like, they can be true on a black person's platform. You know, like black people can't just use other people for entertainment. Like, bro, to some degree, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not here to get insight from you, Dr. Umar. Daniel, maybe. I've never seen this man's channel till today. I might subscribe by the end of this just so that way I can see more of his content and see what else he gets into. But from you, no. I'm putting you here solely for entertainment purposes because that seems to be all you are now. You're not a source of anything. You're just the black hole.
Usually on this channel, we do something called ink blots. You know what an ink blot is. You're a psychologist.
Ink blot text, the Rorschach.
Yeah, because you're a psychologist, I didn't want to do that. It just feels disrespectful to give you a Rorschach test. So instead of ink blots, I have ink blacks. I'm going to show you these people.
Ink
I'm
blacks.
going to ask you if you think they're black. Logic, please come to the mixed race African recovery camp. What happens
Mixed
at
race?
that camp?
I'm going to make them comfortable in their skin because all Africans are accepted there. And I know some people are going to get banned from the campus and put in the book of Negroes for breaking his
So
rules.
what the heck is the book of Negroes? It's like the Death Note. You write it and boom, you can't leave.
I don't
can't
care if you
recover.
The
10
Book of
years old.
Negroes, bro. That's a good movie title. I'll think about it. I'll consider it. The Book of Negroes, bruh. We own some shit.
You ain't coming back.
How did a 10-year-old get the book of Negroes?
That sounds like some Key and Peele shit.
10-year-old can't
The
recover.
Book of
I don't
Negroes.
think so.
I like that.
He been drinking the Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. Can you name 2 people right now that are celebrities or known that are in the book of Negroes?
I can't say that out loud.
Is Shannon Sharp in that book?
Ooh.
Come on, big black guy with small white woman.
He has to
He
be.
gave a snow bunny a OnlyFans retirement.
Here's my thing with Shannon.
Yeah. You ain't got shit to say about Shannon. You literally have nothing to say because you've already said it all.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Literally can't say anything because you literally already went on multiple platforms and expressed it to the 1000th%. You have no point in being here because you're not here to have a real interview. You're here to make entertainment, which is why all I'm doing is rolling a joint because I don't give a fuck about it anymore, bro. Like, there's nothing I can actually take from this that's like, I don't have a different opinion about Dr. Umar. And that's what's disappointing because I feel like you come into this thing, you should, but I don't feel like anything is answered or addressed. It's just it's just kind of based. Like, you could say all white people are Neanderthals or whatever, but like, I mean, it takes 2 seconds to just go check that. Like, you can't and that's all this is just to do based ass takes on them.
Shannon
okay.
has been through enough.
Okay. This video in this final cut is 20 minutes, but I'm sure this interview was like all day. I hope you made enough money to finish the fucking school.
Nobody gets a pass for self-hatred. If I come to your house and you got a white Jesus hanging on the wall, you're going to get a pass because that white Jesus has been in your family since slavery. Burn that crack off the wall right now.
I don't have a white Jesus on my wall, but I got the poster from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So I don't know. Is that self-hate? Ah, man, we're gonna have to fucking edit the shit out of this one. One of the things I did think was interesting was the concept of black men and self-hate, like that identity issue that can happen. I'm like, yeah, that is a real thing. That is a real situation that black men can find themselves in. And I think it's even more true for people that are mixed race because you do like if you're someone that comes from a black mom or a mixed race, right? One side's black, one side's white. I can only imagine the complexities that can come with that, just internally and externally, both within the family, outside the family, and that sense of identity, like where you find it or like how you feel like you're 100%. But I feel like this stuff is never actually talked about on these platforms. All he does is just be like, if you're mixed race, you have to identify as black first or some shit. When I'm like, but that's the thing. They're not either first. They're both. I think what they want is to just feel accepted, irregardless, like anybody else. Because hell, I'm black, but I also didn't. I wasn't on the ships. I wasn't. So I wasn't in the civil rights movement. So I don't want to have my identity based solely on the history. I like for the history to be a great foundation, but I'm also like I want to be able to create something where who I am isn't just identified by shit that's happened well before I even existed. I want the shit that happened well before I existed to help me inform my own decisions right now and build what I want to build as well. I feel like it's complicated because then it's like you can't like I don't try to look at every white person or every other race like they're the issue because I'm like everybody's their own person. I don't know what you like until I know what you like, So if you turn out to be a bad person, then that sucks for you. Good luck. But I'm not going to just jump off that because you're not black, like as if every black person just is immediately a saint when it's like, nah, we got the same capacity to be hateful or mean or bigoted or whatever, bro. Like just treat people like as people. Like they human before they anything. They alive more than they anything. This interview is just a waste of fucking time. It ain't anything meaningful, and it's even more disappointing because it's like you're a psychologist, bro. You're a black psychologist. You should be one of the most interesting people, and you're not. How does that work? Your mind should be. You should be a modern day Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, whatever the fuck, because you have the actual wherewithal to identify these systems, know the history, and know the mental history too. And yet, instead of doing anything meaningful with that power, this is where we at with it, bro. So I'm like, it's crazy because it's always going to be up to us, younger generations at this point, to reflect on this stuff and be like, you know what? I'm going to just do better. I'm going to just try to do better because I don't think going on these platforms and trying to speak like you have the answers to the struggles of a race that now to me just it goes beyond the history. It's like because everybody is different. Like the struggles that I go through is not going to be the same as what the next man go through. It may be similar in a lot of cases, but like my family ain't his family. So if I'm struggling with alcoholism in my family and he's never experienced that, like there's still going to be different things that we approach life with. And us being black means that there is some level of connection there, but there's more to it than just simply being black, right? There's a whole life and there's a whole lifetime of shit going on. So I'm so tired of Umar. I'm just so tired of the basic rhetoric, you know, of his beliefs without understanding even a little bit, or even willing to understand a little bit of what people outside of himself may feel when it comes to these issues. Because if the black community, if we're all a black community or whatever, right? Why is it we all got to immediately jump on to what you say? Why can't we have a roundtable discussion? Why can't we all get together and actually discuss these things from the different levels? We will look at this interview with Kirk Franklin and all this stuff. And the thing that's cool is like you got people who are someone that's only 22 who's seen more people die than most of us ever will, as opposed to someone who's never experienced death, and the only people they ever lost was one of the closest people they ever lost, and those two people having a connection, but still seeing the differences in how their life experiences change them, right? Like it's so fascinating. Like, you can't just put all black people in a bubble and assume that all of our life experiences, for good or worse, society or not, is going to be the same and we should all think the same, because that's not the case. Not all black people are going to be discriminated against at the end of the day. It's just simply true. Some of us may go our entire lives without ever having to know what that's like. And it doesn't mean that you need to or you have to. It's an acknowledgement that because this person may not have never gone through that, they may have a different perspective. We may need to just kind of unpack that so that way they can understand like what it feels like when a cop, pulls them over, or they do walk past, or and a cop car passes by, like understanding like why for some black men they may get extreme anxiety when that happens, while others they may not feel nothing. Because I think having that conversation between the two is where you start to find that solution, because they're both looking for reconciliation in that feeling. It's disappointing when you have someone like Dr. Umar who's gone to school to help understand these nuances of the black men's struggle or of the black people's struggle, and to try and put it in these basic ass like statements of just simply not dating outside your race or whatever, when I'm like, that doesn't that has who I stick my dick into has nothing to do with with this shit. Because if I'm dating a black woman or a white woman or whatever, that cop is still going to make the decision to stop me or not stop me. Like it has nothing to do with how I position myself, and how you reconcile with whether or not that'll happen or not, I think is the issue for black men growing up. Like I wouldn't want my kid, son or daughter, to live in fear for just existing, and I think the real work that needs to be done is how we get to a place to where that can be true. Because there's no way a black person can have a kid and then when they talk about the history of themselves or their race or whatever, like that kid doesn't grow up with some level of fear about who they are just for existing. Like that's fucked up. That's what should be talked about. That's what he should have been spending the past decade doing, like repairing that innate conflict with just being a black person in a world where you may or may not get stopped because of what you look like, or you may be looked at differently. Like, how do you reconcile that psychologically? You have a degree to do that, and yet you're just telling people to stop dating white women and making content and entertainment about these actual issues, as opposed to putting on a roundtable of generations of black men. When you had the platform, the access, you didn't do none of that. You just yelled at black people for making what you consider wrong decisions without even willing to talk to them about the decisions they made that actually were wrong decisions. And this one is more of a decision of the heart, like who people sleep with, who they involve themselves with. Oh yeah, we're getting lost in the weeds of Dr. Umar. This is why this fucking goober ass dude is not shouldn't have been building the school to begin with. Shouldn't have been building the school to begin with. You should have been building treatment centers. I'm like, if you wanted to build a school, you should have got a degree in education, not psychology. I don't understand. I don't understand how that would have even worked anyway. You're a psychologist, but yeah, you're trying to build a school. Why? We only 6
at a
minutes.
sister house not too long ago, and she had a big white Jesus on the wall. I said, do you really think Dr. Umar gonna sit at this table with this damn crap on the wall?
And you took it off.
No, I made her take it down. She probably put it back up after I left.
I mean, well, yeah,
'Cause if you
she probably definitely put it back up because it's just your ego, bro. Like, it's not even that you don't want black people to date white people. You don't want to know what black people do is the reality. You don't want to know what they believe or faith or feel. You just want them to do what you think at the end of the day. And I'm like, since when do we do what anybody want? Come on now. Like, you know the history. When did we do what anybody else want? Come on, dog.
you put it in the trash, a cook will get it
Any
out the
type of
trash,
smoke.
take it home, and hang it back up. Leonardo da Vinci painted The Last Supper in 1482. 540 something years, and you still got that cracker hanging on your wall. You need to be whipped. Black queens forever.
That's
Snow
crazy.
bunnies never.
It's crazy to call Jesus a cracker and make it seem like, man, we're done here. I think we're done here because this video is already going on way too long. It's about 2 hours now. So I think we're at time. We got more. Oh, we're fine. We're fine. Almost had a fucking nightmare happen. But luckily Jesus, black, white, Asian, or whatever, is on my side. Because shit could have just went weird or left. I dropped something and I almost thought it broke, but it didn't, thank God. We're gonna call it here. And I think next episode will be about mental health among black men of varying ages. It'll be about social media and what it's doing to our children, and I don't think I talked about it on this pod, but yeah, the Jason had it, I forget his last name, a doctor who talks about his book, The Anxious Generation, and how that upbringing of technology, as well as the generation that I'm a part of, what we experienced between like 2010, 2015, the ramifications of things like that. It'll be interesting. Hit that button if you haven't. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Let me know if there's something that I can do better here. Otherwise, I will be back to yap. I'll see you on the next one.